Maximum Ride, The Lost Flock Members.
Prologue.
My name is Faith Ride, and I am going to tell you my story.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
It was 4.5 years ago when my family escaped this evil place of torture and experimentation of children. I'm talking about a place called the school, and this is where I was made along with my family. My family and I are not your average human children. We are 98% human and 2% avian. My story begins late one night. I was awoken by the noise of someone unlocking the dog crate that I called home.
I opened my eyes to see a man that I knew and loved as a father squatting in front of my open dog crate with his finger to his mouth. His name is Jeb Batchelor.
Quiet, Faith. You have to come with me, but you have to be quiet. He reached in, scooped me up, and carried me through the halls of the school's laboratories. When we came to the end of a corridor, there was a door that Jeb opened, and when he did, I saw a black van parked right in front of us. Jeb looked around, opened the door, and set me into one of the seats. As he did, I saw my biological sister Max and the other children who were the same as me in the van. Jeb ran back into the school to get the last of us. Max, what's going on? I asked my older sister.
Jeb is getting us out of this place, smiled Max as the black-haired boy named Fang chuckled.
Can't wait to neither. The girl with caramel-colored skin named Nudge smiled.
Same age, just as the cherry blonde-haired boy named Iggy said that the alarm sounded. Jeb came running out with a boy who was my twin brother named Alan close behind. But Jeb got into the van, started to drive off before Alan could get in.
Jeb, stop, I yelled as Alan chased after the van. I can't, Faith. If I do, you all will get caught, Jeb said as he looked at me through the rear view mirror. I looked at Max and Fang who were next to me. Then, I looked into the way back to see Iggy, Nudge, a blonde-haired boy named Gazzy, and his biological curly blonde-haired little sister named Angel. They all had a look of sadness on them.
I'm not leaving me, brother, I yelled as I opened the door and jumped out.
Faith, I heard Max and Jeb yell as they drove off into the night. After I was done rolling, I saw Alan next to me, and he was on his knees, with his hand out. I took his hand and Alan helped me up.
As he did, we got captured by the erasers, 98%, human 2%, wolf guards of the school.
The erasers brought Alan and I back into the school and brought us not back to our dog crates but into a cell-like room.
Get in there! Eraser pushed us into the room, slammed the door shut and locked. Alan started to bang on the door as I looked around.
I saw that there was a bed in one corner, a bedside table next to the bed, a couch at the foot of the bed, a coffee table in front of the couch, a sink, mirror and toilet by the other end of the couch. Alan, just give up. It won't work, I said as I sat on the bed. But Faith, Alan looked at me and saw that I was crying.
I'm sorry, sis. I made you lose your chance to leave this place, Alan said as he walked over to me and hugged me. I looked at him and shook my head. No, you didn't. It was the stupid alarm that did. Alan and I just sat on the bed all night, hugging each other the rest of the night.
That morning, scientists came barging in, tearing me away from Alan, steeping me down to a hospital bed and wheeled me away. What are you doing to me? I screamed as I tried to wiggle to get free.
None of the scientists said anything to me. They continued to wheel me into a room and started to hook me up to monitors and other machines.
I was so scared that I was crying, and as I heard a voice, but no one was talking.
The voice was coming from inside my own head, but it wasn't mine. It was one of the scientists' voice.
Okay, subject 21 is strapped in and ready for the insemination procedure. Are we really doing this to a 10-year-old girl? Also with subject 19 aka Iggy's DNA. Well, I hope that this works. That's when that same scientist put a mask over my face and started to pump something through the tube that connected to some type of tank that put me to sleep. I woke up in the room with my brother laying on the couch looking at the ceiling. Alan, I said as rubbed me eyes. Alan shot up and came over to help me to sit up. Faith, what happened to you? I looked at Alan as he said that. I was just about say that didn't know when flashes of what happened to me. I started to shake and cry. Faith, what did they do to you? I looked at Alan in his eyes. Alan, I think that they inseminated me. That means that the scientists are trying to make me have a baby and it was with Iggy's DNA. I hugged Alan as cried into his shoulder. It's been 4 years since that day. I did have a baby and her name is Desi. She has cherry blonde hair just like Iggy, but she has brown and gray wings like me. Yes, Desi is 98% human and 2% avian just like Iggy and I. Also, the scientist aka the white coats did the same experiment on Dasi's eyes that they did to Iggy. In which made him go blind, and so it did the same thing to Desi. So she is blind just like her father. Our story begins 4 years, 10 months and 13 days from that day.
Chapter 1.
Mommy, wake up. I felt a little hand pushed against my shoulder as I slept in the bed that was in the room that I could never leave from. Desi, leave your mother alone. She didn't sleep well last night. A male voice sounded as my eyes fluttered open.
It's fine, Alan. Morning, sweetheart. I smiled as I ate up, picked up Dasi and set her in my lap.
Mommy, what wrong? Your bad feeling is back. Desi looked up at me with her cloudy blue eyes.
Nothing, sweetheart. Mommy is just thinking. I moved Dasi's curly cherry blonde hair out of the way of her blind gaze.
Alan looked at me with his light brown eyes, with worry in his eyes, and I heard in my mind a voice that was Alan's. Faith, is it about knowing about you know? I know, Al, but Desi can't know about the baby just yet. As I said that to my twin brother in his mind, Desi looked up at me with her cloudy blue eyes, and as she did she put her little hand on my stomach and said, I know that a baby is in Mommy's tummy. Me can see her if I put hand on Mommy's belly. I looked straight at Alan with a look of complete shock on my face. Alan gave me the same look. After a minute or two of the three of us just sitting in complete silence, I asked Desi, who told you that Mommy was going to have a baby, sweetheart? Desi looked down to her lap sadly and said, the science man did. Me overheard science man tell Grandpa that Mommy had baby in belly. Desi put her other hand on my stomach as she looks up at me with tears in her eyes asking, you mad me know about baby Mommy? I held her close and kissed her forehead and said, no, sweetheart. I will never be mad at you. As Desi wrapped her arms around me, a man wearing glasses and in a white coat, a scientist, comes in.
I looked over Dasi's shoulder and said to the scientist, Good morning, Jeb.
Jeb smiled at me as Desi let go of me and ran into the man who was my father's arms. As Alan and mine father was hugging my 4-year-old daughter, Jeb picked up Desi, walked over to Alan, who was glaring at him while Alan was sitting on the couch, placed Desi in my twin brother's lap, walked over to me and said with a sigh, I'm sorry to tell you three this so early, but Faith, your half-brother Ari. Jeb stopped, took off his glasses and looked at me in the eyes and said, Ari found them. Ari found Max, Fang, Iggy, Nudge, Gazzy and Angel. All three of us gasped. I started to get tears in my eyes as Jeb said the thing I never wanted to hear. They captured Angel and your half-brother has brought her here. I glared at the man who was my father as the tears in my eyes faded and said, Jeb, why? You know that the others will come here to save Angel. I know that they will come, Jeb, and I looked at Jeb, got up off of my bed, and Alan knew to hold Desi close as I said, if any of my family gets hurt or if Angel gets experimented on or tested on in any way. I leaned in close to my father and with a look of that I would kill anyone or anything. I will never talk to you again. After I said that, I extended my brown and gray 14-foot wings and said, I will kill every single white coat that had ever touched me and or my family. Even my own father.
Chapter 2.
The mirror that was on the wall above the small sink shattered, oh, because of my mind powers. Jeb looked at me with the same old solemn look that he always had and shook his head.
As my father looked at me, I lowered my hand to my lower stomach, wincing as Jeb said,
Faith, what's happening isn't you under my control, but he looked down at my stomach and reached for the stethoscope around his neck.
My dear, I will try to keep them safe also. My father put his stethoscope on my lower stomach. You have to calm down. That child is under distress.
I hung my head as my wings folded back up against my back. I was looking at my stomach, my 7 months pregnant waist, tears running down my cheeks as I sat back down on my bed. Alan looked at me and saw a glint in the corner of his eye. He moved his head and Alan saw the shards of the broken mirror levitating and pointed at Jeb. Jeb, you better leave, cause, Alan said as he pointed at the pieces of the broken mirror, and Jeb stood up.
Oh, of course, my son. Get some rest, my daughter. Jeb walks to the door, waving bye to Dasi. Even though she couldn't see him, Dasi waved bye. Jeb walked out of the room.
As the door closed, the shards of the mirror fell to the floor, shattering even more. I looked up at my twin brother, his dirty blonde hair, brown eyes and face just like mine. With tears running down my face, Alan set Desi down, and after he did, Desi ran over to me and hugged me very tight. Mommy, stop. No crying. I looked down at my 4-year-old daughter, who was looking up at me with small tears streaming down her little face from her cloudy blue eyes. Alan walked over to me, and as I looked up at him from looking at my cherry blonde-haired daughter, I saw small tears in his eyes.
Faith, stop crying, because Alan wiped his eyes. The flock wouldn't want you to be crying. Especially Max and Iggy. I smiled at Alan and wiped my eyes, even though I wanted to cry like I did that night, but I stopped for Dasi, and for the baby.
Alan, I'm sorry. I looked up at my 6'6" brother. Alan smiled at me. It's not your fault, it's Jeb's. Yeah, it's Jeb's fault. Desi smiled up at the both of us.
I chuckled at my little daughter calling her grandfather by his name.
Faith, do you want to have a nap? Alan asked as he ruffled Dasi's cherry blonde hair.
I nodded. Yes, please, I said as I picked up my legs up onto the bed and lie down after I kissed Dasi on her forehead.
Have nice nap, Mommy. We be quiet, you, Desi said as Alan picked her up. I closed my eyes, and not even 5 seconds after I did, I was asleep. As I slept, my mind was abuzz. I could hear all of the other experiments and white coat's thoughts. About 2.5 hours into my nap, I heard the thoughts of my half-brother Ari.
I woke up abruptly. I turned my head to look at my brother and daughter.
Alan was that I was awake and saw the look on my face. He came over and helped me to sit up. Faith, what's wrong? Alan asked me as Desi came over and sat next to me. Alan, Ari is back. I closed my eyes to focus on looking for the thoughts of one person, Angel.
That's when I heard them. I heard Angel.
Max, Gazzy, where are you? I'm scared.